everyone, and welcome. I'm Reverend Mary Frances Drake from the Center of Light in Framingham. I'm really pleased to be here today with my teacher, Mother Clare Watts, who's going to be speaking to you today. The Center of Light is a spiritual school and spiritual community. We have centers 12 different cities across the country. And Mother Clare is one of the co-founders and co-directors of the order that provides these spiritual schools. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of who she is and introduce her to you. Mother Clare has written several books. One is called Giving Birth to God, A Woman's Path to Enlightenment, and that is about her spiritual biography. We have copies of that in the corridor, which you can come and have Mother Clare sign for you if you would like to have one after the talk. Mother Clare studied in a number of different traditions, from studying in an ashram, a live-in ashram and Sufi training school, and also kind of was doing a lot of Eastern things before she came back around to Jesus, which, as she likes to tell, was not the flavor that she was expecting to land in. So here she is as a master teacher and Christian guru to talk to you about spirituality, about the divine feminine. And she has also professionally practiced as a home birth midwife for many years and a Jungian psychologist. So she has a wide breadth of experience and a great depth of wisdom. And I hope you'll join me in welcoming her.
Welcome. I was raised by Southern Baptist missionaries. So I had a real noseful of Christianity by the time I was a teenager and rejected everything. And when I was 18, I married very early, and I had a friend who was into astrology, and everything I said or did, or anybody said or did, she said, oh, that's because you're this, or that's because you're that. And it really irritated me. But I couldn't argue back because I didn't know anything about it. So I went to a free intro to astrology class just to get material to argue with her. And this poor man is trying to teach this class, and I am challenging everything he says. And finally he stops trying to teach. And he decides he just needs to deal with me so he can teach a class. So he asks me my birth date and location. And this was before computer programs, so he had to do an ephemeris and actually use it. And he puts my chart up on the board. And from my chart, he accurately described both of my parents. I was floored. It had the effect he was looking for. My jaw could not be retrieved from my chest. And I was silent the rest of the time. I couldn't figure out how to do it. So after the class, I went up to him and I said, but if it works, why does it work? And he said, well, for that you would need to come to my meditation class. And I'm sure he bit his tongue immediately after he said it. Like, why was he inviting me back to anything? So 2 days later, he had a free introduction to meditation class. And I went to that, and he had us all lie down on the floor and needed a guided meditation. And we did the rites, and when it was done, because everybody come to and sit up, and I was gone. I was out of my body and unreturnable, it seemed, like no return address to come to. Every meditation teacher's nightmare, they'd lose somebody in the astral realm somewhere, and he's trying to get me back. And he's, and finally I come to, and he says, where were you? And I told him of what I'd been, where I'd been. And he says, it sounds like you went back to not one past life, but 2 past lives in your first meditation. And I said, past lives? And he went, oh God, I'll never get rid of her. So, sure enough, he didn't actually, and started reading everything I could find, and within a year I was living in a yoga ashram with my husband and toddler, and was in the ashram for some years, and in a Sikh ashram for a while in Phoenix too. And I was dedicated to finding the way. And I had read Yogananda's autobiography, and that's what I wanted. I wanted what he had, and that's why I moved into the ashram, why I was there. I was the perfect yogic student. I bathed correctly. I ate correctly. I did all the asana practices correctly and the kirtans correctly. I mean, I was good. And once a year, the guru would come. He wasn't the top guru. One of the steps down would come from India, and we had 10 minutes with him. And I'd say, okay, you know, he gave me a mantra the first year of practices, and I go, I did it every day, twice a day, without fail, blah, blah, blah. I said, so what can I do now? And he goes, why, what makes you think you can do something else now? You know, and I said, well, I want to go as far as I can spiritually. And I'll do anything. Within moral and ethical limits, I'll do anything. This is what I want most. And he said, you're arrogant to say that. So do it again for a year. So another year, same thing, all year. He comes back again, meet him again, and he goes, I said, so now can I have the next step or something? He goes, that's arrogant of you. What makes you think you would progress? And I go, doesn't everybody want to progress? I mean, he goes, that's not for everybody. I go, really? Why wouldn't it be for everybody? I mean, I don't know if I'm in preschool. I don't know if I'm in elementary school or high school or where I am spiritually. But if I'm in preschool, I'd like to go to kindergarten. Or if I'm third grade, I'd like to go to fourth, or wherever I am. I'm not saying I think I'm far, but I am saying I want to go as far as I can in this life. And he said, that's arrogant. Do it again for a year. And I started wondering what was wrong with my desire to go as far as I could. And it was around that time that a mystical Christian center opened down the street, and one of my co-yogis said, shall we go check that out? And I go, not Christian. I mean, I would have checked out anything except Christian. It was my one, no way. If people were worshiping parrots, I would have checked it out. I mean, I really have an open mind to everything except that. But he said, come on, I don't want to go alone, I want to see who they are and stuff. So I went with him. And 3 young women were running the place. And they taught this class, and I kept seeing something in their eyes, like light, I mean literally light in their eyes. And I'd look at the other people in the class, and I didn't see it there, and I'd look at those 3 again, look back, and I'm looking at the window, is it a reflection off the window, is it, and then I'd try them from a different angle, you know, and then I thought, what is that in your eyes? And they said, it's light. I said, well, where did you get that? We don't have it at the ashram. What right do you guys have to have this? That's what we're supposed to have. We're the ones on the path to enlightenment. Not you guys, you're Christians. And they said, well, we have initiations. It's an initiatory path, and we've been initiated into illumination, to light. And I was furious. That's what I went home with, anger. I go, that is what I wanted, and that's what we should have, not them. So you can tell how evolved I've gone. And that's actually what I started pondering, is that though we at the ashram really have the practices, and a number of us were really devoted with the practices and did them, but we weren't transforming. And you just had to put us all in the kitchen together to see how untransformed we were. And it was starting to bug me. So this fellow yogi wanted to go back there, and I absolutely didn't want to. It was a Sunday service. He wanted to go to church. And he says, oh, come on, how can it hurt? So I was curious about that light in their eyes thing. So I did go again. And this time there was a service and a mystical communion. But there was this picture of Jesus on the wall. There was a picture of Mary too, and I hadn't been raised with Mary, so it was not an issue. But there was a picture of Jesus, and that was an issue. And they asked me after the service, how did you like it? I said, well, I liked the service, but boy, that picture of Jesus, could you just get it off the wall, then I might be able to handle being here? So again, my high level of evolution was quite. They laughed, they weren't angry, and didn't say that was blasphemy. They said, oh, we've been there, we understand. And then I said, what is this? Why Jesus? And they go, what is your thing with Jesus? I said, well, look at all the damage Christianity has done. Look at the horrors, the horrors on the name of Christianity. And they said, well, is your issue with Jesus or with churchianity? I said, well, it's his churches, what's the difference? And they said, no, actually there is a difference. And they said, say, what if you led this life that was good and exemplary, and you do all these great things, and then you die, and then they say afterwards, we're doing this war in the name of Mother Clare, or we're doing this pedophilia in the name of Mother Clare, or we're doing this hatred against others and hellfire damnation stuff in the name of Mother Clare. They said, would that be fair for you to be held accountable for that, if it was done in your name? Well, I guess not. And they said, so it sounds like your issue is with churchianity. They said, does it seem to you maybe Jesus was a good guy? Thought about it and went, yes. Likely Jesus was a good guy. I can get that. They go, so would you give him a chance, separate from the institutions? I said, how do I do that? They said, well, you come to experience him personally. I went, how do you do that? They said, stick around. We'll show you. Mystics of all traditions, of all religions, are looking for the experience of that truth. As a mystic, I don't care much about any theology or any dogma or any rules or regs. I care about the truth that I can come to know and experience for myself, and therefore really know. Because I'm not reading about someone else's experience of it. It's my experience, and I know it in the cells of my body, in my heart, in my mind, and the theology doesn't matter. In Islam, Sufism is what the mystical path is called. In Judaism, it's Kabbalah. In the Eastern paths, a number of the Buddhist or Hindu traditions are a lot more mystical than others. In Christianity, we don't have a separate name for it. It's just called Christian mysticism. Some famous Christian mystics were St. Francis of Assisi, St. Teresa of Avila, St. John of the Cross, Hildegard von Bingen. Each of these had their own experience and knowing of Jesus, of Mary, of that path. They weren't needing to hear somebody else's. And each of them expressed quite differently, and yet in the unity of that message. So, in our short period here together today, I want to introduce you to some experiential, because that's all I actually care about. So with the song, if you'll just get still and open to the experience of the presence.
To my heart's song.
Jesus and Mother Mary, what their role on the planet is. So I'll tell a brief story of old time on planet Earth. So there was the Garden of Eden. There was man and woman in the garden. Don't get hung up on technicalities now, just go with the story. They're in the garden, they actually walk with God in this garden. Every day they walk with God. They're naked and they don't even notice. It's nothing. They talk with God. They are friends with God in complete freedom, in complete union of spirit in this garden. And everything was given to them in the garden. There were trees and fruits and beautiful flowers and animals and wonderful things in the garden. And it was completely harmonious. And God said to them, you can have anything. Everything here is given to you except these two trees. This one tree is the knowledge of good and evil, and the other tree is the tree of life. You're not ready for those. Someday you will be, but not yet. You're still young souls. Leave those two alone. And as in the garden one day, the serpent comes and says to Eve, don't you want the knowledge of good and evil? She says, well, I know good. Why would I want evil? Want to know evil? And he said, because then you'd be like God, you'd know both. And you're actually really missing out, not knowing the other side. She goes, wow, maybe I do want that. And he says, then you will really know what is. So she takes a bite of the apple, and she offers it to Adam. She didn't cram it down his throat, by the way. She offered to him, and he goes, okay. So the first thing that happened immediately after they took the bite of his apple was that they felt ashamed. They noticed they were naked, and they were ashamed. They've never felt that feeling before. They've never known it, because they didn't know evil. And they heard God come walking in the garden, so they run and hide. Instead of running towards God and walking in the garden, they run and hide, and they cover themselves, and they're in shame. And God says, what have you done? And they, nothing. And now they're into a lie. And now they're hiding, they're ashamed, they're in a lie. And the whole story starts. Because they now had shame and running away from God and creating lies, they could no longer live in the presence of God. Because the word sin is anything that separates you from God. So they separate from the union. And from then on, it was one story after another of more separating from the union with God. Welcome. Hi. So things got rapidly worse. Telling the story of all and everything. So we just left the Garden of Eden. So now they wanted to know evil. So one of Adam and Eve's sons kills the other one. What more horrific thing could any parent experience? Because you lose both of them. So they have gotten their prayer answered, they're experiencing evil. And they're separate from God. So in history, the way it goes, and we have to move along quickly here because there's a lot to go. So things get worse and worse, and eventually, again, don't get hung up on these details. Eventually, it's so bad that let's just start over, God says. So let's do this flood thing. Everybody's life is eternal. Don't worry about those that are gone. They'll be back soon. So let's wipe it out and start over. So within hours of being off the ark, Noah's in trouble. And again, things deteriorate, and they deteriorate, and they deteriorate. And then there's fires to try to fix things. And finally, people get worse and worse. At one point it gets that their karma was so massive from all their past lives that even in a given life, if they did everything they could not get out of karmic debt. It's as if your take-home paycheck is less than the interest on your debt. So even if you put the whole thing on it, you're worse off every month. So that was the state of much of the planet, of the people on the planet. It was terrible. So the powers that be go, what are we going to do? What's with these people? We've tried washing the planet clean. We've tried burning it clean. And they're just right back in the doo-doo as soon as they can. So the idea came up, let's try something different. Let's blow them away with love. Blow their socks off with love like they've never imagined. And maybe that'll work. But there's this karmic debt problem. They're in such karmic debt they can't do anything. So what should we do about that? And two of the greatest souls go, we'll pay for it. So they can have a clean slate, and they have a half a shot to start over. And Jesus took on the male version, and Mother Mary took on the female version to come in as the great avatars of love. And they came with the intention to set a whole new pattern, a whole new groove in the earth. Such ridiculous love that anybody who tuned into it or heard about it would melt. And as Mother Mary, they were equal avatars in power and strength. Mother Mary took on the feminine and took on the inner version of it, while Jesus took on the masculine, the outer version of it. Hers was a very humble choice, because she's still not recognized for what she did and is, which is kind of typical for the feminine versions of things. So they started teaching. For 3 years he taught. For 3 years she did in quiet what he was doing in open. In that culture, a woman could not have taught. And at the cross, when he died, at the foot of the cross, she did what he did on the cross. She internally was torn to shreds and paid the karma for the planet as he did it externally. They paid the karma of not only everyone on the planet, but all the past and all the future. Imagine taking that on. When people go, why did it have to be so terrible? Crucifixion. Because of the load they were paying. And the moment he died, for one moment, everybody was karma free. Christian language, that is, he took on the sins of the world. For one moment, everybody was karma free, and seconds, people were starting to accumulate karma. He paid the future out too, so that people for the future could also have their karma lifted, but they would actually need to do some things in the future. The past was just paid. The future, they would actually need to acknowledge errors they made, feel remorse, own it, ask forgiveness, and receive the forgiveness. It was paid in advance, but there would need to be some interaction and owning. Their love was so crazy big that it cracked people's hearts open then, and it cracks them now. So what I'd like to give you a chance to do is to notice who they are as beings and feel the difference between to be still and feel it. And then I'm going to have you stop that, and we'll let that go. And then we'll call in the presence of Mary and have you feel her. And by feeling the two side by side, you may get a sense of the difference, which makes you know you kind of tuned into something there. If somebody here has some religious or ethical questions, whether that's okay to do that, I'd encourage you to just ask them when I call them in. Is this okay to Mother Clare? So you can ask them and get your answer directly. So if you will get still. Oh, beloved Master Jesus, we ask you to bring your presence here now. And let each one here who wants to experience you now. Thank you, dear Master. Now let that drift away so you have a clean slate again to have a different experience. Blessed Mother Mary, bring in your presence now, Blessed Mother, and let each one who wants to hear experience your presence in reality. experienced something when I called in Jesus and called in Mary? Hands up. Okay, and how many of you felt something different between the two of them? Okay, can you put some words to what you experienced when I called in Jesus?
Heart up. This part of my life.
Okay.
She was here.
Okay. So if you both would say what you felt with one and with the other.
With Jesus, I felt this like peace come over me, like total relaxation. And then with Mother Mary, it felt like an embrace, like coziness, but not tenseness.
Others.
I have a little bit opposite. I had with Jesus, it was external. The energy was all external, and it felt like a hug from the outside. And with Mary, it actually jolted me inside. And it was different colors. The colors were pretty different.
What were the colors?
With Jesus, it was more like the greens and purples, and with Mary, it was very bright white.
Others?
Well, Jesus' energy, I think it was very, something, really, and with Mary, there was this lightness and kindness.
Yeah. One or two more? Yes.
Quite unexpectedly, I started to walk back and forth, left to right, longitudes.
Okay.
Mother Mary, I could just push it to the right.
Interesting, yes. Okay. Somebody else? Yes.
With Jesus, it was more of a wash over my life, and it was like the other and looking at you, like being clear and curious.
Around your heart. All right. When I've asked 30 or 40 people and gotten there, it's almost like patchwork quilts of the different descriptions of each that have similarities to them. Different ways of experiencing or feeling or hearing or sensing, and yet you start going, wow, it's kind of like this. So in mysticism, we want you to know for yourself from experience that you get to know these beings, and you can drop all the garbage around them. That's been your own teachings you've received that have been difficult, or from others, or history, and experience these astonishing divine beings who are willing to actually come let you experience them, and willing to directly teach you and guide you and raise you up. It's quite amazing that these world avatars would be willing to do that with little us. When you have the side-by-side differences, you start developing your spiritual senses so you can tell things. Without spiritual senses development, you'll never know anything in the spiritual world. Where you start developing your spiritual sight and your spiritual hearing. Where you start developing sense of feeling, of smell. All your physical senses have spiritual counterparts. Yes, we do the adult version of that. So spiritual growth in any way is on any path you're on. You know, all the paths are going up the same mountain. When you get to the top, it'll be interesting how other people got there. but the top is the top. It's the same place. So in the mystical Christian path, it's to actually let Jesus and Mary become your guides without the external things, to receive the ways they've given for that to happen for you, to come to know them and accept, and then the enormous gift of letting your karma be taken. I don't know of anyone else, maybe some of you do, but I don't know of anyone else who's even claimed to pay off the karma for the whole planet. There was a guy in New York for a while who said he was. Of course it would be New York, right? They can take what you owe and lift it through the asking. I mean, lift it, it's wiped out of the Akashic records. You have to be willing to acknowledge it. You did something out of accord, own it, look at the damage it did, own it, then ask for forgiveness, and then the key one, accept the forgiveness. Woo, that's the rough one. Accept it, that it's lifted, and you will be accessing one of the biggest gifts they brought. And this that we did, calling them in and experiencing them, I recommend you do it over and over again. And you'll start getting where you can tell it. Like you could walk in a room, and if Jesus' presence was there, or Mary's presence was there, you'd recognize it. You'd go, oh, Mary's presence is there. Or Jesus, you'll start knowing them. That's what I call knowing them. And you can start going and going, what shall I do here? And let them communicate with you. This is my hope for you, my wish for you, and my prayer for you. And I will hold you in that prayer, that you can grow in this great love. I want to end with Krishna Das. I saw him do a YouTube when he said he asked his guru, he was sitting with the guru, and they asked him how they should meditate. And he said, meditate like Jesus did, to their great surprise. And they said, how did Jesus meditate? And he closed his eyes, and they said he didn't tend to get quiet. That was not normal for him. He was kind of a wild guy. But he got totally still, and these tears came down his face, and he says, he immersed himself in love. That's my goal. May you come to know his blessings and the blessings of our beloved. Namaste.
So we do have to move out of this room rather quickly, but I would invite you, if you'd like to speak with her there or look at the books that she's written. Down this hallway a little ways, there's a table and a couple of chairs set up, and she can sign books for you or speak with you for a few moments if you'd like to do that. And then in our booth down on the second floor, we have, we're offering spiritual blessings, so if anyone would like to receive a spiritual blessing, the priest will be down there offering that as well. Okay.